Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another session together. Hold on, let me set my timer. Um, Welcome back. As you may see from this title, you may notice that it says Taurus, but you also know that these readings are timeless and signless, so you need not have any significant Taurus placements in your natal chart for these messages to be for you. And you need not be watching this message at the time that I have published it in order for the messages to be for you. It's energy, and it just has a signature that at any time in your life, if you fall into alignment with it, then there will be messages in here for you. That being said, you also, guys, if you watch my channel, thank you so much. You also know that even though I put the collective messages with a zodiac sign and whatnot, it really is that I primarily channel for God, and that's it. So whatever comes through, it is what it is, okay? So, they have their own system of bringing through information, and that's all there is. All right, so I've already blessed a space. I've called you guys all in for divine assistance. Sorry, I guess I'm talking to the guides and you guys. So let's see what messages. Oh, strong start. Ace of Pentacles. What messages? Wow. Okay, so I'm getting that with this Ace of Pentacles, it's like I was going to just, go ahead and do these. Oh, they said split the deck. Okie dokie, folks. I was just going to go ahead and do this and then continue shuffling. And then I saw, oh, wow, this one Ace of Pentacles is worth more than this entire deck, right? Look at all this number of cards versus this one card. And then they told me to split the deck. And the minute I did that, now it's all about this and no more about that at all. So the reason why they're doing that is obviously it's part of the message, but also it has to do with this idea of procession and progression. Hold on, they're asking me to pause because I have to get a certain card deck. And for the love of God, I'm hoping it's not beneath any of these. Hold on. It's major two sets of stacks. 1 second. Is it? Hold on, guys. Ah, I think it might be. Hold on. How far up do I have to go to get these? Okay. I'm gonna pause in case this whole tower of cards comes down. 1 second. Donkey Pokles. Oh my God, guys. I just put the whole stack back up and look, what is this? Why is this still here? Okay, all right. That's the devil card, by the way, in the vice versa tarot. Great deck. It shows two sides of each card, and we're seeing this one appear out of time, so to speak. So this is a nod to two things. Number one, the unreality of time and space, because there's only here and now in God's reality. Of course, we are in the dream, so that's why we experience time and space because we're in duality. And the second thing that it shows is out of time, meaning that it's almost like this energy, this devilly energy, is not even here in this present timeline that we're in. It's outside of it. So that's actually a good thing. And what's also double good is it didn't show up facing us, it showed up with its back to us. So, and actually, I'm struggling to actually keep my hands inside of the table because it's all energy. So they actually want me to throw it on the bed. Okay, let's see. Why am I throwing it on my bed? Oh, okay, good. I threw it and then fell on the floor. The point is they wanted to show that was a little message for someone. Who was that for? Anyway, they wanted to show that it's well behind us. And just that's the whole point. Okay, let me take a sip. Yo. If you don't have a hot beverage now, what are you even doing? Got the deck, guys. Thank you. So they're saying, because in my mind, I'm like, why are we not rolling with the messages? You know me, I like boom, 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 boom. That's how I like to talk fast. I like to get the messages coming through, but they're like, this is the message. All these moving parts, acknowledging that, and then going up to get that, and da, da, da. Even though I asked before I press play, are there any cards that want to come in? The minute I start, they're like, go get this deck. Now, they're also bringing us back to what they said in the beginning, progression, procession. And so that goes to show you that even though we had all these moving parts, and even me as the reader, like, what we doing? It all comes back to there is a higher plan. there's a plan here. They're like, there's a plan here, people. And as we're saying that, I'm seeing my hands in my usual surgeon's pose, which is usually like this. You can't see it, but like, well, now you can. I know that I have to do energetic work or etheric surgery or something, obviously not at the conscious mind level, a multidimensional aspect of me comes in to do it with a medical team. Um, but whenever I know I have to do that for a client, my hands kind of do this. Like if I'm needing to somebody to scrub me in and like give me the whatever scalpels, and but they're showing that they're not showing my full hand, they're showing the little hands, and they're telling us how this looks like claws, like raptor claws or something, when we don't see the full thing, right? And now they're showing some mirroring here with the spiritual protection. So lots of messages coming through with this. What they're saying, or what the message is that's being communicated, is that number one, we never have and we cannot have while here in this physical space, c'est impossible, it's impossible. You can never have the entire vision of what is. In other words, you cannot see all that is. You cannot see reality. Number one, because your mind is not capable of handling it at this level of perspective, at this level of experience, at this level, this dimension, in this density. It's impossible. And so when you have something that can never be an absolute, it can never be the value of one, it could never be whole, then you're dealing with the realm of perception. You're dealing because you can only perceive, you can't know. You can only perceive. You can't see the whole thing. You can only see a fragment of it. You can only see a piece of it. And then you're only seeing a piece of it from you yourself as a fragment of that very same thing. And so that's why certain old adages, certain sayings, things like, oh, you thou shalt not judge. And of course it's like heavy religio coded, right? But you shouldn't judge. It's basic. If you don't have the what's the word? Capacity to know what is true and to see it and to feel it and to experience it at a very whole and complete level. Oh, like this. Great, thank you. See how this person is here in this bubble? Let's just say that's us. This person cannot see themselves. They have to get outside of themselves to what their higher self. So that their higher self, which in energetic talk is a multidimensional aspect of them. We are here in this 3D, this third dimension, this third density, whatever you want to call it, the earthly plane, which has physicality, time, and space, has properties of this space. But once you pop out of that through your like what I'm doing reading multidimensionally, right? And you do it all day. You guys just don't realize when you're switching in through your different perspectives. But when you step outside of that, then you can see what's going on here, right? So, like that. And then they're showing this even more. Wait, what? Oh my God, look, it just doom, doom, ding, 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 all the way up it goes, right? And so in order to see where you are, you're going to have to get higher than where you are. In other words, in order to perceive of what you are doing, what you are being, what you're saying, the motivations for why that's happening, you're going to have to get out of that level of perspective and assume a higher level of perspective. Somebody who's in a 1 point perspective cannot see anything. It can't see itself. It can't make comparisons. It can't understand concepts like up and down, in, out, tall, whatever, because it's just a dot. But when you get into the duality space, that's when you move from the state of oneness, just like source. And they're saying such it's just like the Christ consciousness in itself. Thank you. Because the Christ, look at that, how they're circling. The Christ consciousness, not religious, just refers to the whole mindset that is made whole, the original template that is not distorted, that is untainted, that is whatever. It just carries a word that we identify with religion because of how we shaped ideas of religion down here. The Christ consciousness is a state of being. It is the reality of what we all are when we are in our unified state. And that's been since the beginning of whatever time. Anyway, and so, like, for example, 1 point perspective, the Christ consciousness, source, all that is. This is a state of wholeness. And within that, there's no point for comparison. So that's why whenever we're having conversations like this, dialogues and even monologues, because a monologue, a discussion with self, has an implied point of comparison. That means there are at least 2 points that can be drawn to give rise to this consciousness, right? That we have here. And they're like, there are many more points. That's why we're able to compare, why we're able to grow and expand and all these things that are actually temporary in this false state of being, right? And when you think about the universal time matrix, which basically we don't need to get into all that, but if you think about this idea of all that is creating this false reality for us, or making or us having this false reality made for the sake of reflection and observation and understanding the self. That's when you have these little, it's like a grid, over here and here. It's like this big grid where every different point of comparison represents a different perspective, a different um, point from which that little baby consciousness, let's say me, I'm Janelle, I'm a little spark. I've got a personality, I'm individuated. I'm from this little perspective, the spark of the divine, this one point from which, this one point in time and space, I'm able to then observe and reflect and engage with this larger consciousness that I experience in this physical world as physicality, as my friends, as my family, as my dogs, as my cats, it's all one. But from this state of perspective, I'm observing it as many, right? And so that's why the higher up you go in consciousness, the higher up you go in spiritual maturity, the higher up you go in purification, healing your shadow work. They're even saying shielding, yeah, shielding yourself, making sure you're shielding yourself at these upper levels as well, not just your 3D self and whatnot. But the higher up you go, the more you move towards what? Integration, wholeness, oneness, right? Purification, peace, joy, because these are states of being that we really are. It's closer to what we really are when we are in our original form, right? But when we have these distortions, these false ideas, these programmed things, all these things just add more and more shadows to our ability to see. So we started off talking about how we already are not in that final form. Sorry to say that. We're already having this perception of being separated. But the reality is we are in our final form. We never changed, right? But we're in the realm of perception right now. That's why we talk about going to sleep. We fall asleep to the reality of what is, and now we dreamt of another and another and another and another, and now we're so lost in it that this is why there's this idea of needing wayshowers and guides and this and that. But along the way in humanity's timeline, along the way was introduced a concept, a false concept of there being hierarchy, gods, and all of this, and needing to worship and all of that. Like that's not the way that we were made. And I think a lot of people are struggling to understand that because it's so deeply encoded within us all throughout many lifetimes to see that. And guess what? When you do that, it's very easy for beings in the physical and the non-physical and in the interdimensional spaces and all that to just kind of come in and put themselves at the top of the hierarchy in your mind, a hierarchy that does not exist according to God, because God created. And when I talk about God, I'm not talking about these little gods of the old ages and that we have in our mythologies and that we have in these holy books and all this. If you're having gods and all of these things, embodying and exhibiting and espousing and demonstrating horrible things like war, like strife, like obedience, like what's the other guilt, like all of this stuff, these are perversions of reality. And it works down here, it functions down here simply because you, the multi-dimensional, they're showing now this is why we have these two barricades here to protect the consciousness. Because as I'm saying this, I'm like, they're never gonna believe this. But Spirit's like, give them more credit. No, Spirit's like, this is why we have these here. It's called scaffolding. We're scaffolding the mindset that you guys have so that you can get this, right? And so you the only reason, the only way that these concepts, let's just take the power out of the physicality, the concepts of hierarchy that you have in place only work because you have been made to believe that it's a reality. And it's not a reality. They're saying there's another way. The other way, the only other way, right? Another way that they're bringing down is the reality way. And the reality here is that you are, and we've said it millions of times on this channel, a sovereign, multidimensional, co-creator being. Now that's loaded, but let's take a sip. But it isn't really. It's only loaded because it sounds so off from the level of perspective that you currently are. The level of perspective that you currently are is enmeshed. They're immediately the guys are saying global politics. Yeah. And usually it's the guy in the back who's saying that, but no, it's the guy in the front. Global politics is ruining you guys. A lot of people are being ruined by these thought forms, by these concepts. They're not real and they are spiraling. And over time, they've been taken to be not only a reality. God doesn't bat an eye on these things because it doesn't recognize these things. These life events, these timelines, these whatever you want to call it, that we're living out and experiencing, people think that they're just on this train that they have no control over, but you actually do. You, as we've said many times, and again, it just seems strange from the timeline, the perspective that you are in at the moment, but you will only experience according to your belief system. So if you're experiencing certain things, good, bad, up, down, in, out, left, right, it is, you need to note, I'm experiencing this out of all of the possible things that I could be experiencing in this here and now moment for myself. Out of the countless myriad plethora of things that in scenarios and look, I looked left, I looked up, I looked down, I said this, I didn't say that. All these things I could be experiencing from different choices, all of that I could be experiencing in this one moment of here and now. I'm experiencing this. I'm seeing this. I'm hearing this. I said this. I looked this way. I jumped left. I took a car ride instead of taking the bus. I'm experiencing this, and I'm calling this the reality of everything. The reality is that that is so false. The only reason you're experiencing that as a reality instead of the millions of things, many things you haven't even conceived of that could have been something you could have experienced in your here and now. You're experiencing that because your belief system has cycled you out into that moment. That's what it means to be ushered on to certain timelines. And when we talk about ideas of hijacking one's consciousness, it's simple. You get a being who has the power given by God to create, and you get it to completely change its self-concept. Because if you understand, the universe doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't care if you've been studying any holy books or at the top of some mountain for 40 years, or if you have lived a pious life, whatever. It doesn't care what books you wrote, what you said. It cares about your vibration and your frequency. So you can shout to the top, to the hilltops that I always say this because people may understand this, but you want to be married. I want a husband. I want a wife. I'm ready for this. God, I am ready for love. All that stuff. You're going through it. You're doing it, right? And if you can even attract somebody, it will not be loving, right? If you do not have the vibration for it. So this cognitive dissonance where we say we want something, we're saying we're about something, and there I am, whatever I say I am, and I don't care how many, philanthropic orphanages you open up and you give money to and this and that. It's the vibration. And if you can't even lie to your energy readers, hi, you sure enough, spirit sees it, right? So the thing is, your self-concept. Your self-concept is what you believe to be true about yourself. And most of this world believes it's a victim. And you cannot step into understanding your reality as a multidimensional, sovereign, co-creator being if you're stuck in victim mentality. Because victim mentality says, I am a victim. I am not in control. I am, insert here, something subordinate to someone else. Well, why do you say it? Well, this book said that I live in sin. I am guilty. I must obey. I must everything, right? It's all these things. Or my parents didn't love me. They neglected me. Some people don't even have the conscious mindset to understand that these are the things that they're emitting out into the universe about themselves. But a friend will be like, dude, why do you keep dating like people who blah 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 blah? And they're like, what do you mean? All these guys were different. No, they're not. They're the same. Well, he had a job and this one wasn't living with his mother and that one was, it's all the same. They all lied to you, right? It's never about the other person. It's about you lying to you. This is about being out of alignment with your divine self. Your divine self is that self concept that aligns with your reality. I am God. Yes, of course you're God because you're inside of God. God is all that is. You are of God. You were created from God in his image and likeness, its image and likeness, their image of whatever, right? Your job here in this physical space is to embody that aspect that you are. The thing is, God gave you creative control. In other words, free will. The only thing you cannot do is uncreate yourself. You cannot disturb creation as God created it. God created it and said, hey, have fun. And now you're out here, you meaning all of us, now you're out here running around with your dreams and your goals and your desires and your ideas and they're fun and they're not fun and they're this, that, they're nightmares, they're war, peace, new babies, old babies, everyone's dying, everyone's living. This is all your stuff. This is all your stuff. And there's more, but you don't even have, there's more to your stuff, your consciousness than you even are aware of, because in this lifetime you're limited to a certain perspective because of the personality you've given yourself, because of the belief systems that you've grown up in this lifetime with, because of the conditioning that you've had through your experiences in life. Instead of growing from experiences and extracting lessons and moving forward and letting it all go, a lot of you've held on to it and now it's shaped who you are. And that, no, this is you so caught up in this giant mechanism of false beliefs that here you are having these experiences, which may seem similar to people in your lives, but everybody's living a different reality in their heads, right? And you're calling it reality. That's not reality. And for those who are ready to step into reality, they understand that they must give up what they believe to be true about everything. This doesn't mean to, oh, let go of the ego and cease becoming and begin to be. It's none of that. It's none of that. What it means is, what do you believe to be true about yourself? And sometimes you just have to get simple about it. Are you a victim or are you not? Because you can't be in your sovereign self and see yourself as subordinated to everything that what happened was, no. That's the story that you're telling from this perspective that you're at. But when you're ready to elevate your consciousness and step into higher states of consciousness into higher perceptions, more true perceptions, getting closer to truth because it's rising in frequency, and all the false stuff can't match that vibration. We see this same concept happen in relationships all the time. You know, everyone comes together and wow, okay, it's happening. And then one starts to vibrate in a different way, whether they're starting to get their life together, they're starting to eat more healthy, the other one's not. It's either the other one matches the vibration and they raise together, or one vibes too fast and the other one has trouble staying in. They're going to get flung out and then the relationship is broken up. Or one is getting too dark or too dense, too low, too heavy, to whatever you want to call it, low in vibration. It's too strong, they're still going to break apart unless one matches the other. So this is what happens when, if you're not careful, you're trying to do something good for yourself and you're surrounding yourself with a lot of darkness, a lot of heaviness, a lot of programming, a lot of strife, a lot of poverty consciousness, martyrdom consciousness, all the vices, all of that vices. You know, it sounded like I said devices, but spirit's also trying to say something, okay? Right? All that low energy, if you can't withstand it and rise for yourself, you're going to fall down to that. And then that's a that's not fun for you, right? We all hope that, oh, well, this one will match me. Everyone wants their freak matched, right? Everyone wants their freak matched. But it's all vibration. You move in vibratory spaces. So just to kind of like bring it back around, hold on a second. Excuse me. Um, because it's a lot. So much to kind of bring it. Like we need the scaffolding, right? Um, you always start with what am I? Who am I? And yes, people spend lifetimes trying to find this question out. Excuse me. And in their search for who they are unknowingly engaging in a falsity of in and of itself. Because the reality is, you do know who you are. You do know who you are. Okay. So let me show you this for a second. By the way, if you were to roll up into your local hypnotherapist's office and they regressed you, they'll ask you to tell you everything you saw on the way here, and you're reading off like a laundry list. Oh, I was walking and then I saw this canary and you're all these things that your conscious mind just could not clock, let alone hold on to, let alone be able to now recite. Your conscious mind be like, I don't remember, like, I don't know, I got on a bus and I got over here and right, but your subconscious knows everything. It's there. It knows. So that alone shows you that when spirit is dealing with you, and you're out here like, well, I didn't know, I didn't know that was a choice, and like so and so, spirit's clocking it as a choice, and they also clock you as lying to yourself. Now, why would something that we in the conscious mind awareness see as something, well, we didn't know, how was I supposed to know? But yet spirit recognizes us and doles out the, kudos or the karma or whatever based on us knowing? What's that all about? That's because spirit sees who and what you are. Just because you are choosing to walk the world in ignorance or not knowing, or there are many reasons why you're in that state of being. But when you raise your consciousness and you start to expand and you're seeing more, you start to realize, oh shoot, I was lying to myself. I knew what I was doing. I was lying to myself. And then you want to ask yourself, why? These are the lines of questions that you ask yourself when you recognize what you are. You are a sovereign, multidimensional co-creator being who has been gifted free will. Your free will gift is so strong and so intact and so inviolable that you can even choose to ignore it. You can choose to go to sleep, to have the veil pulled over your eyes. You can choose to incarnate on earth. By the time you're down here, you've already made a choice. A lot of people are not recognizing that. And so they think that, oh, free will doesn't exist because, like, I thought I was going to do this. And no, this is conscious mind speaking redonkulousness, right? That's all the idea of you not knowing who you are. What are you? We'll say it again. You are a sovereign, multidimensional. You're sovereign, which means God made you sovereign in and of itself. Sovereign in the sense that you've got that free will. God said, hey, my child, do as you wish in my kingdom. And even if you're like, I want to leave this kingdom, there's nowhere to go because God is not some sky daddy. God is source. God is all that is. It is the material. It is the fabric of everything. It is consciousness. It's pure consciousness experienced in this world as physicality. But that's what source is. So to say that you're not God is delusion. You are God because you are within God, you were created by God, you are of God. And if you'd like to embody the qualities of God, that's you being in your self-concept aspects of God that are of a higher consciousness. That's when you start to say things like, I am an instrument of the divine. I am source. I am God. I am the son of God. I am the daughter of God. Whatever the words are you want to say, you say it, but you acknowledge the declaration of your reality. I am. And if you are God's child, I like to think of it as the children of God, the son of God, daughter of God, whatever you want to call it. I am an aspect of creation. I am whatever you want to call it. I am. When you see yourself as that, how can you see yourself as a victim? Because you either are that child of God who has been given everything and denied nothing in all of creation. You may have an experience of strife and struggle and poverty and low self-worth and all that, but that is not God's creation for you. That's not God's will for you. That's not your function. That has nothing to do with God's hanging clothes somewhere. I don't know. Like that has nothing to do with God. So you have to ask, if this is what I really am, then WTF is going on in my lifetime right now? That's your homework. That's your homework to understand how you are experiencing a physical reality that is so outside and so out of alignment with what you are. You're not a victim. You are a sovereign agent of your own trajectory, right? You're creating, unless you're making stuff up with all these learnings of the world, they say. How can a victim be God doesn't roll that way, right? And so when a lot of people are trying to heal themselves, just to give you this idea, when we join, because I do energy healing in alignment with God. So let's look at how that idea shifts. If you are on a lower frequency of the healer journey, let's put it that way, you're probably going to break off into seeing yourself as God. You're going to see yourself as the answer to everybody's needs. You're going to see a whole bunch of victims around you that you have to go administer to. You're going to, and if you have major vices, you're going to charge them lots of money. You're going to deny people time to be with them. You're going to all sorts of stuff. You're going to want to collect followers. Next thing you're in a cult and you're the cult leader. This is low frequency stuff that has nothing to do with source. Absolutely nothing. From spirit's perspective, remember when we go into a higher perspective, we look down on that. Those people are lost, absolutely lost. Now, what does lost mean? It means the mind is in need of correction. So all this stuff that we're talking about, we can call it correction. So we correct by appealing to reality. The reality is that you are of source. And when they say, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I, that also shows you the missing link. The missing link that humanity is missing has nothing to do with, oh, which hominid, or it has everything to do with their understanding of energy and how energy is playing a role in that. When they say, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I, from the energetic perspective, meaning as somebody who works in the energy field, I can see the physical field. And I can also see the non-physical fields, and I'm able to work within them. I'm working interdimensionally, multidimensionally, so I can perceive of these variations in frequency. So that's saying I and my Father are one means what? We are all one, and that is the reality. Everything is one. We just have a false perception of separation because we're in this dualistic state. It's temporary. It will end one day. And I'm not talking about when you die and go back home to, the other side to recharge and stuff. I'm talking about when this whole universal time matrix game is done and this universe has wrapped up and the next universe starts and all that, right? So this is very temporary. And when we say, I and my Father are one, it also says that anything that God has created is within and of itself. This is our reality. That's why we have things like, oh, do unto others as you'd have done unto you. It's a reality. People don't realize it. They get mad at the guy in the car wash because the guy cut in line. You're having a conversation with yourself. That's all you're doing. You don't realize it because of your perspective. When you raise your perspective, you spiritually mature, you step into greater personal responsibility, you open your third eye, you start to perceive connection, oneness. And that's why the higher up in perception you go, the more you will be moving towards integration and the recognition that it ultimately you'll realize everything that you thought was real was false because there was no you, me, up, down, and that's when you will be home, so to speak, right? So I and my Father are one, total reality, but my Father is greater than I. That part is a recognition of where you temporarily have your conscious mind, or excuse me, your consciousness focused. Yeah, the reality is we're all one, but along my free willian self mode, I thought, oh, it'd be cool to do this thing. I'm gonna do this thing on Earth. I'm gonna split my consciousness a little bit. I'm gonna like forget about God a little bit, forget away, and drop down to Earth, do a little something. My Father's greater than I, of course, because your consciousness you can't even perceive at this moment. You're probably like, what is Janelle even talking? What is she on about, right? Or you're like, oh, I totally get that. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, God told me that in a dream, or I saw that on the side of a bus. It's making sense, right? But whatever. I and my Father are one is the reality, and but my Father is greater than I, and that also, in addition to showing the split in terms of where you believe yourself to be. You're so believing it for the sake of this experiment called incarnation. You're believing yourself to be in this third dimension, third density, separate from God. Totally not true, because I and my Father are one. We're all inside. Look, we're all in there, right? Um, in addition to that, it shows that there is a difference between the creator and the created. And that's why we say I and my Father are one, because what I am in my creator and I'm of my creator and I am my creator. Just observing myself from one perspective, one parcel, one fragment of my creator. That's it. We're all one. We're all in this together. We just can't see it. Why not? Because of where your consciousness currently is. When your consciousness is in this vessel, this third dimensional state of being, this 3D third density and all that, you're going to perceive in alignment with what you're capable of perceiving. Now, yes, your brain is, a little bit limiting and because it's just the thing that we have here in this body, but when you start tapping into your metaphysical abilities and start slipping into aligning with your higher self, now you can see more. And then above that, you've got another aspect of yourself. And then on that, you've got another aspect of yourself, right? Why is this happening? Because from where sources, where everything is revealed, where there are no distortions or no belief, no comparisons, none of that, it's just oneness. You can think of it as the spirit, as the template of all. And then when spirit started to have this whole split, in a sense, this stepping down in frequency, right? When that started to happen, and all of like the planets were made, the archangels and then the angels and all the seraphim and all that, all those beings and all everything, when those were made, these celestial bodies, those are all aspects of creation. When all the rocks and all the aspects of creation, the aspects of creation, were all of that, including you, were created. Now here you are down here, temporarily having this experience as what? Janelle. Hi, I'm Janelle. I'm Janelle. I live in blah blah blah. I'm from blah blah blah. I'm this age and did I love hot beverages and I love yeah, okay. Thanks. Thanks. Oh, okay. Right? But that's down here. And it's down here that we start to, we're so in this false state of being, these perceptions, because every time you shut off a little bit of your consciousness, in other words, every time that you cover a little bit more of what is, when you forget a little bit more, by the time you reach the human mindset, where we at? We're Stevie wondering out here because we don't know. And the problem with that is that there are other beings in creation outside that are not just the human species, right? And there are humans in this human species who know this. So in many ways, it could be like picking little, little crablets. When crabs have babies, they little crablets, like there are lots of them, but they have to make it to the forest to be safe, right? But so many things can pick them off because what? They forgot who they are. But spirit knows what you are. Spirit's like, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. You're not a victim. You're not a victim of your socioeconomic situation and your sexuality and this and that and your orientation and your nation state and your politics. This is all BS that someone somewhere on earth created as agendas here. All these things you're doing is chopping people up. No, we have to stand together and remember what we are. When you recognize what you are, oneness, integrated, we are love, we are connection, then any belief systems, any ideas, any sales pitches, marketing pitches, political speeches, any medical procedures and all this stuff that comes to you to try to get you to give your money, give your time, give your body, give your belief system, give your what else can we give? Everything, right? Give your allegiance, get all this stuff runs hollow because you recognize it for what it is, BS. Oh, now look, they're showing my hands again. So we're I guess we're deep in the minds right now. We're doing these little brain surgeries here. But also they're showing me that we're about to extract soon, right? From this, because it makes sense because the time is running out. So this video today is an appeal to your consciousness to wake up. And to wake up means that you have to go inward and remember what you are. Notice I'm not saying who you are, because when I say who, you're like, oh, I'm a person, and it's already limited consciousness. What you are. And say it with me. I am a sovereign. I call the shots around here. I am a sovereign, multi-dimensional, ding, 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 ding. I go all the way up. Always remember that something that is just made without the love of God, you might see it on in the astral planes as a structure, right? But try going higher in elevation. You'll no longer see those structures because they cannot exist in the light of God, in the face of God, in the truth, in the whatever you want to say, the luminescence. It's too much. It's too much power. If you think your own relationship will blow apart because you want to go back to school and better yourself and your husband doesn't want you to do that and it's going to blow apart already, imagine whether you want to say demons, these low vibration energies, entities, all that people in your family, whatever, what can they withstand at the higher frequencies? So in order to release yourself from these lower frequency octaves, and the effects that you experience at that level, the people, places, things, situations, ideas, the forms that you experience at these levels of consciousness, you must remember yourself. As a child of God, you're sovereign. You are multidimensional, means you have a direct line straight up to God. You don't need any religious head anywhere. I will always stand by it. You can choose to have that along your journey if you'd like, but if you do that and you allow it to mess with your agency and your free will, that's on you, right? You use the tools on earth, these things, to aid in your journey, not to limit it. And that's where we lose a lot of people because they're not ready to wake up yet to the reality of sovereignty and what it means. You're going to have to get rid of ideas like, oh, I have to worship what? God is within. It's not going to be outside of you. It's within you. And you don't worship any other human being. It's impossible. What you do is you recognize the light within that human being, if that human being still has the light on at all. And that's where your discernment comes in. You can't discern the light if you're not even tending to yourself. So you have to go into yourself, recognize that you are sovereign, multidimensional, co-creator being. That means that you are co-creating this existence here. But as a sovereign being, the buck stops where you are. If you have a self-concept, I'm a victim, I have to listen because I'm this color, this is my economic stuff, this is my history, this is my gender, this is my sexual orientation, this is my all the creeds, everything. And this is my lot in life. And oh, my father was abusive, so I'm going to be abusive too. I'm did my trauma. You just gotta do something with it, right? It's called shadow work. And this is not a call to get lost in your own shadow in the vibration of victim consciousness. Oh, woe is me, and this and that, and oh my God, and no. I know what I am. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go home or stay where you are. I don't know where are you at, right? And I'm going to affirm what I am. And I'm going to use that mindset as a litmus test. If I am the one calling the shots, I'm the agent. If I'm making decisions along my multidimensional self, that may not be at the conscious mind. It may be in other levels of myself. It is myself, so I can have access to myself. Maybe I should sit home and start getting connected with myself. Maybe I should start asking my questions. If God is within me and not outside in that holy city or that holy city or this holy whatever or that rock or whatever these things are, if God is within me, then I'm the they're so funny. The words I'm saying, okay, let's say I'm the most holy spot here. Let's put it that way. And the only wars within me is going to be my false beliefs trying to cover over my reality. So you have to reprogram yourself by getting rid of what is not real. I am self. I'm one self with God, united with my brothers and sisters across the world. The entire world, no matter where I look, I'm going to see a brother and sister. Now, whatever other things I put in front of that is for me to start to look into. Why am I calling this person a terrorist? Why am I calling this person that? Why am I calling this person a criminal? Why am I calling this person sloppy? Why am I doing all that? And that's your work here. The whole point is to shift your consciousness because, as we've said many times before, you are the universe makes formulates around you. In other words, it grabs all the molecules and brings into form in the form of a person, place, thing, situation, idea. Yeah, even ideas you think are all based on what? Your self-concept. So if you're living that from that victim consciousness, you're victim of your circumstances, then guess what? You're going to continue to make and call into being because you're sovereign and the universe must respond to you, right? It's going to keep building a world for you, a nice little world for you that you can occupy, that's going to make you a victim. But that would be down here in this, in your limited consciousness. If you're not spiritually mature enough, you're going to see it as the world hates you. Everything happens to me. I'm a victim. Yeah, I know because I've got the epigenetics to prove it. And no, spirit, you got to go back up to your self-concept because you are a sovereign being. So the universe is just going to give you back. It's just going to mirror back to you. It's just going to feed back to you and make for you around you. Look at you making your own world. This is your own world. It's just going to make for you what you believe yourself to be. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. And then you will live a life where you will have confirmation bias. But for those who want to really see what this is about, you're asking for ascension. Boom. That's what you're asking for. You're asking to ascend what? In consciousness. You're asking to recognize reality. You're saying to all that is, I'm tired of playing in these false realities. And whether some of you, I know a lot of you do follow ET discourse, a lot of you follow other discourses as well. No matter what you attribute to directing you onto this timeline, into this, whether it's your trauma, whether it's DNA tampering by ETs, whether it's the old New World Order, whether it's the whatever you want to call all these all these words that the algorithms probably like, hey, about, that's still you passing the buck. At the end of the day, mastery on this planet looks like understanding that you are the creator of your own reality, and you will experience what you believe to be true here on this earth. And if you're struggling with what you're experiencing, don't sit here and say, well, this book told me that this is not, oh, I read this, past life regressions. I saw these people's OBE, out of body experiences. Oh, this person astral projected a day. Who cares? You're still looking outside of you. Oh, we watching Janelle stuff? Who cares? You're still looking outside of you. But guess what? Always look to the people who remind you that you are the source. That's why you are the light of the world. That's why Jesus is your brother. That's why any other uh prophets, any other heads of whatever we have in our mind as being the way, they're at best your brother or sister. But sometimes you just have to go your own way because your brothers and sisters are in need of the light as well. So where is your light? Look for the light within, understand your self-concept, and then move from that self-concept. So the next time somebody comes to you or somebody says something, ask yourself, oh, is this, how am I seeing this? Am I responding to this? Am I reacting to this? Am I seeing myself as a victim? Or what is this? If I were truly like, am I Neo? Like I can dodge bullets, and God said, hey, when the time comes, you won't have to dodge bullets. And oh my God, a little kid said, there is no spoon. Like what am I? You know what you are. And so what spirit is signing off here and saying, what spirit would say to you is, you know what you are. The question is, are you ready to acknowledge that and step into that greater understanding? Boom. Emperor. I mean, could it be any more, you know, what they say, we out here playing games. You want to play, certain games, you can get certain prizes, right? But if you don't like where you are, then you must turn inward and always check with your self-concept. And if you'd like to know how the self-concept trickles all the way down through our chakras and just creates this confirmation bias for us and how we can proactively move out of that, then go back and check my July 2025 reading. It was like 3 parts and it talks about the 7 laws of the universe and how they align with the 7 chakras and how they all of them stem from what? That I am consciousness. And then how that shapes your world in the physical, and then how you are just engaging with yourself. And when you're ready to wake up and to have a new reality that is based on the divine self, the return of the Christ consciousness, the return of your true um, undistorted consciousness, and to embody that on this planet to finally be an instrument of God's peace, because you can't be an instrument of anything that can't flow through you, straight up. That's it, right? But if you can get to that self-concept that unlocks you so that flow can flow through you and be made manifest for all beings, to benefit from, and you want to be proactive about that, check out the July 2025 reading. Okay. Now, as I said that, I'm picking up at least three of you. Yeah, maybe 3 to 6 of you, but at least three of you will take action on this if you want. You could be with me or with somebody else, but if you want to reach out and have a session with me and talk more about this, because I feel like maybe three of you have been seeing signs about these concepts. And so get on it. And I think 6 of you have as well. Oh my God. Boom, guys, don't play. Don't play. Stop. You have a choice to make. Something's got to fall because you can't serve two masters. Oh, look, you can't serve two masters. It's impossible. So you have to get over this discontent, this I don't know. No. Empress. I don't know who's that. You know what this is. Anyway, so you know where to find me. God bless you guys. And I know I do all these readings and all that stuff, but my real job is to help with ascension. So this is kind of up my alley. Mwah. God bless you guys. Bye.